Chapter 41. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a weirdly silent lunch, Nangong Yan spoke up, I'm taking Yang out to get some things. Anyone wanna come? Shiyu Kasumigakaka and Eri looked at each other, a silent battle raging between them. After some unspoken exchange, they both lowered their heads and said, No, we've got work. Nangong Yan was puzzled. What's with that? You guys seemed pretty eager to go just now. What changed? That he couldn't read minds, and even with his system skills, he had no way to decipher them. He was left to guess, but figuring out a girl's thoughts was never easy. What about you, Hui? He turned to Kato Megumi. Want to tag along? Well, if I can't be with you, Yanjun, I still have to study. From angles Nangong Yan couldn't see, Eri and Shiyu were giving Megumi death stares. Even the unflappable Megumi had a bead of sweat forming on her forehead. She wanted to go, but she couldn't. Nangong Yan scratched his head, totally lost. What's going on? Everyone's acting so strange today. All right. Confused, he decided not to overthink it. Yang, let's go. Time for some shopping. Yang Yi, who had been happily playing, perked up at once and bounded over, practically jumping for joy. The little guy was clearly ecstatic. Her adorable antics caught the attention of the three girls, especially Eri, who looked on with pure envy, her face screaming, I wanna go. I wanna go. I wanna go. Nangong Yan just stared at her, at a loss. Should he ask again? He decided to give it one more shot. Still wanna go? Eri stiffly turned her head away, but she couldn't help sneaking a glance at the little ball of fluff. Didn't we already say we couldn't? Then, as if afraid she'd give in, she bolted. Nangong Yan was even more confused. He turned to Shiyu, who looked a little guilty and mumbled, I've gotta get back to work. Before disappearing like she was fleeing the scene. He twitched his lips. Seeing their reactions, he knew something was up, something he hadn't figured out yet. Finally, he looked at Megumi. You too? Yep, I need to study too. Before he could even finish the question, Kato Hui answered, and then followed the other's hasty departure. So that's how it is, Saint Hui. Nangong Yan was left speechless. After a moment, he shrugged, giving up. Okay, let's go, kiddo. He crouched down, scooped up Yang, and settled her on his shoulders. The little guy flicked her tail happily. Yay! Out to play. He reached up and scratched her chin, and the little guy purred happily, making him smile, and with that, one person and one cat left the house in relative peace. It was a weekend, and the streets were bustling. Nangong Yan and Yang, a human and his cat, were definitely drawing attention. Guys would glance back as they passed, while women would stop and stare at the adorable little furball with wide eyes. More than a few people looked like they wanted to say something, but they hesitated, stepping forward and then back, unsure, uncomfortable with the stares. The little guy huddled closer and nuzzled against Nangong Yan's neck. Nangong Yan chuckled. You're quite the heartthrob, aren't you? Look at all the people you're attracting, meow. Do they like me? I thought they were going to be mean to me. Yang seemed surprised. You couldn't blame her. Life as a stray had been tough. She'd had to scrounge for food every day and take care of her younger siblings. Sure, some kind people had offered food, but plenty had also tried to hurt her. She wouldn't have curled up normally, but Nangong Yan had taken such good care of her since bringing her home. Now her fur was sleek and shiny, she ate her fill every day, and her mood was practically always at max. Plus, the little guy had leveled up her cuteness, attracting even more attention. Those intense stares were still a little scary. Nangong Yan gently stroked her head, explaining, they're not going to hurt you. They just think you're cute and want to say hi. He paused, adding firmly, and you don't have to worry about anyone bullying you. I'll protect you. I won't let anyone hurt you. The little guy was silent for a moment, then turned her head and mumbled, meow, humph. I should be protecting you. You're such a worrywart. All right, you can protect me. He reached up and ruffled her fur. He could have sworn he heard a hint of arrogance in her tone. Was he imagining things? Hearing Nangong Yan's flippant reply, Yang rolled her eyes and gave him a sideways glance. He didn't notice, but a few passers-by did, and they couldn't help but smile at the expressive little kitten. One little girl gasped, "Ah! What an adorable cat! I want one too." Nangong Yan was perplexed. What was with these people all of a sudden? Is this a pet store? He craned his neck to read the cute sign. He sounded unsure. Wait. Looking at the name, Sunny, something clicked. Digging through his memories from his previous life, Nangong Yan exclaimed, "Isn't this the store run by Miss Nana, who adopted Yang's brother?" Nanny. Hearing Nangong Yan's cry, Yang froze. What did she just hear? Her brother. Her brother was still alive. And he was in this store. Overcome with excitement, she suddenly leaped off Nangong Yan's shoulder. Tear. Her sharp claws ripped Nangong Yan's coat, leaving a small tear, as he watched the little guy frantically scratching at the glass door and saw Nana, the shop owner, who had been drawn by Nangong Yan's exclamation and Yang's commotion. He realized his slip of the tongue had caused quite a stir. Silently scolding himself for being careless, he hurried forward and said to Nana, who had opened the door to let the kitten inside, "I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this to happen. I hope she didn't cause any trouble." "Oh, no, no." Nana waved her hands, reassuring him. Then, she asked, "I'm just a little confused. Why is your cat acting like this?" "Why? Because of me." Of course, he couldn't say that. Nangong Yan paused, thinking quickly. Well, she probably smelled her brother's scent. Huh. Just a moment, sir. Ashimori Nana looked surprised. Aside from the fact that I'm not sure why my store smells like Niko-chan's brother, how did you know that's the reason? That because I blurted it out. Nangong Yan gave an awkward laugh. Huh, well, I can kind of understand what the cat's thinking. Really? Wow. That's amazing. Nana's eyes widened, a hint of envy in her gaze. Nangong Yan stared. Are you sure you believe me? Doesn't that sound a little far-fetched? Chapter 42. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang, who'd been checking out the store, wandered back over. Meow. Nope, doesn't smell like that kid at all. She seemed a little anxious. Nangong Yan picked her up, reassuring her, "Don't worry, we'll find your brother soon." Then, he handed Yang to Nana. Nana, looking a little confused, took Yang and held her. The instant Yang was in her arms, she caught a familiar scent, her little brother. Nana, sensing the kitten was unusually quiet, asked, "Excuse me, what's your name?" Nangong Yan smirked. He knew that question could lead to some major misunderstandings if he didn't play it right. Nana Ashimori asking the cat's name. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Nangong Yan gave his own name? The thought almost made him burst out laughing. Could he soon be hearing Nana call out Hamura-chan? But something felt off. What was it? Wait, Hamura-chan wouldn't work. Hamura is what Madoka Kanin calls Hamura Akemi. Nangong Yan felt a wave of embarrassment. He definitely didn't want to be called that. He turned to Nana, who'd been giving him a strange look, and asked, "What's the cat's name?" "Oh. And, can you tell me your name, too?" Nana's face flushed slightly. She realized her question was a little awkward. Luckily, he caught on, or it would have been super embarrassing. "Sure. The cat's name is Yang, and I'm Nangong Yan." He didn't drag it out, just gave her the info. "Mr. Nangong." Nana repeated, looking down at the cat nestled in her arms. "So, this is Yang-chan." Meow. "What's up?" Yang perked up at the sound of her name, staring curiously at the woman who smelled like her brother. Gently stroking her, Nana hesitantly asked Nangong Yan, "Mr. Nangong, what were you saying about Yang's younger brother? First, could I ask your name? Even though he knew it, he had to ask. Ah, sorry. I should have introduced myself sooner. I'm Nana. Nangong Yan nodded. Okay, Nana, take a good look at Yang. Doesn't she look familiar? Nana studied Yang closely. After a moment, she exclaimed, Hachi, that the more Nana looked, the more Yang resembled a kitten she'd taken in a while back. It was a male kitten, looked almost exactly like Yang. She'd named him Hachi. Yang looked a bit older than her Hachi. After staring at the cat, Nana finally understood what Nangong Yan meant about Yang's little brother. So, Hachi is Yang Chan's little brother. She happily hugged Yang's back and exclaimed, that's wonderful. Hachi will be so happy to see his sister. Mr. Nangong, let me take you to see Hachi. Nangong Yan felt a little overwhelmed by Nana's enthusiasm. She seemed like a gentle person, but suddenly she seemed intensely focused. Was it her love for pets? Nana, don't you have to keep the store open? Nangong Yan also wanted Yang to see her brother ASAP, but he didn't want to inconvenience anyone. But by the looks of it, Nana was willing to close the store to get Yang and Hachi together. No problem. I'll just close it. She replied instantly, without hesitation. Seeing her like that, Nangong Yan had no choice but to give in. Well, I appreciate it, Nana. Just call me Nana. Handing Yang back to Nangong Yan, Nana said. Then, call me Hamura, Nana. Nangong Yan returned. In fact, the pronunciation of Ukami is the same as the pronunciation of the big bad wolf, Ukami. Listening to Ukami's self-introduction, it was like I am the big bad wolf. Nana closed up the store, and Nangong Yan took Yang with her to Nana's place to see her brother, on the way. So, Hamura, can you tell me about Yang? Faced with her eager, curious gaze, Nangong Yan had no choice but to tell her everything he knew. He began with the 5 abandoned kittens, how Yang took on the responsibility of caring for her younger siblings as the older sister. 2 of them, named Tiger Sister and Black, had learned survival skills. 2 siblings were adopted, and another sister was killed by a crow, until they met a lonely cat in a cemetery. Yang. Because Nana didn't seem fazed by his ability to understand cats, Nangong Yan carefully recounted Yang's life story. That's it. Nana was silent for a moment. She hadn't realized Yang's past was so difficult. She sighed. So, one of Yang's sisters has already passed away. She trailed off. Even though Yang couldn't understand her words, Nana felt like she shouldn't bring up painful memories. Especially since now Yang is very happy. Watching the man and the cat together, Nana realized that Nangong Yan was good to Yang, and meeting him was perfect. Nana, what did you say? Nangong Yan asked, puzzled. Where did that random thought come from? What was happy? Nana smiled. I said, isn't Yang Chan happy to have met someone like you? No, you're wrong, Nana. Nangong Yan objected. I've never thought of myself as Yang's owner. I see Yang as family because I can communicate with her. And it's not just Yang's happiness, but mine too, to have met such a sweet little cat. That he picked up Yang and pressed his forehead against hers, smiling warmly. Yang rubbed her face against Nangong Yan's and gave him a little lick. Huh, that tickles. Nana watched the scene with a knowing smile. Yes, I was wrong. Meeting each other is the greatest happiness. Arriving at Nana's apartment, standing in front of the door, Yang became a little uneasy. She was afraid this was all a dream. Would she really see her brother? Nangong Yan kept stroking her, looking at Nana and saying, Nana, open the door. Seeing her brother is the only thing that will calm her down. Nana nodded. She was just as excited, not just for Yang to find her brother, but for her Hachi to see his sister too. He'd be so happy. Hachi, Roku. I'm home. Nana announced as she opened the door. Hachi. Come on, guess who's here? That the cat named Hachi, Yang's younger brother, looked up from inside the house. Both Yang and Hachi saw each other, the two cats stared at each other. For a moment, neither made a sound nor moved. Chapter 43. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sis. Xiaoba blurted out, unable to contain himself. Yang's eyes widened. He saw it, he really saw her. He was in disbelief, totally unprepared. We can actually see her. The little guy wasn't nearly as frantic as he'd pretended before. Guess he had to maintain his big sister's dignity in front of his little bro. She really is my sister, right? Xiaoba's eyes sparkled. Sis. I missed you so much, boom, Xiaoba launched himself headfirst into Yang, knocking him flat, then rubbed all over her, purring like crazy. Xiaoba, way overexcited, clung to Yang, bouncing all over him until Yang's veins stood out and he finally shoved Xiaoba onto the floor. How a kitten got veins, I'll never know. But it's a little strange to see them pop out when he smiles. Neither Nangong Yan nor Nana interfered. Nana watched the two cats affectionately interacting and then invited Nangong Yan inside. Yan Kun, what can I get you to drink? Just water is fine, thanks. Setting a glass of water in front of Nangong Yan, Nana sat down, pointing at his shoulder. Yan Kun, what happened to your shoulder? Nangong Yan shrugged. The little guy got excited when he heard about his brother. He jumped off my shoulder and snagged it with his claws. Ah, I see. Nana nodded knowingly. Take it off, and I'll sew it up for you. Nangong Yan was surprised. He'd completely forgotten his clothes were torn, and Nana didn't even mention it until now. He wasn't expecting this at all. Are you sure it's not too much trouble? Nangong Yan asked hesitantly. Nana smiled. No trouble at all. Yang and Xiao Hachi are having a great time. You'd be stuck waiting here anyway. Nangong Yan couldn't argue with that, so he took off his jacket and handed it over. Are you a student, Yan Kun? Nana asked while sewing. Nangong Yan didn't hide it, answering readily, yep. I go to Toyosaki. I'm a comic artist, too, and my stuff will be coming out soon. I hope you'll check it out. He went ahead and plugged his work. Everyone wants to share what they're passionate about. Wow, that's amazing. Nana gasped, covering her mouth. I didn't realize you were a cartoonist. What are your titles? What are his titles? Is that just Nana's habit? She always skips to the key points, and she's sewing right now. She shouldn't cover her mouth. The corners of Nangong Yan's mouth twitched. I'm working on Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun and The Promised Neverland. Monthly Girls should be out next week, and The Promised Neverland will probably be in Manga Weekly around the same time. 2 debuts at once. Nana exclaimed. This guy was seriously impressive. Are you taking care of yourself? Why did that sound kind of weird? Or is it just me? I'm fine. They kept chatting, since it felt awkward to be silent. The little guy was still happily catching up with his brother. Meanwhile, Nangong Yan's clothes were getting fixed, until... Oh. All done talking to your brother? Nangong Yan asked, picking up Yang. Meow, yeah, he's doing well here and has a real name. I'm relieved. Lying on Nangong Yan's shoulder, Yang sounded comforted. We'll visit again. And with Nana taking care of him, you can relax. That's right. Don't worry, Yang-chan, I'll take good care of Xiaoba. Hearing Nangong Yan, Nana added. Meow. What did she say? Yang couldn't understand Nana, so he asked Nangong Yan. Nangong Yan translated. Nana said not to worry, she'll definitely take good care of your brother. To be honest, that's kind of odd. First time I've ever translated for a cat. Meow. Okay, she's a good person. Hard to believe, though. Nana looked at Nangong Yan curiously. What did Yang say? Nangong Yan had no choice but to translate again. Yang said you're a bit unbelievable but a good person. Seriously weird. It's the first time I've ever translated a cat's words to a person. Huh? Why does she think I'm unbelievable? Nana was a bit confused. Probably because she didn't expect to see her brother again and for him to be adopted by you. It's just surprising. Nangong Yan explained vaguely. Oh. Nana still didn't quite get it, but she didn't press the issue. Nangong Yan remembered why they came. By the way, Nana, it's still early, right? You should open the store. Yeah, why? Nangong Yan held Yang up for Nana to see. I actually brought Yang here to shop today. If you're opening up, we'll go back and pick out some toys and accessories for her. Looking at Yang's adorable face, Nana nodded. Then let's head back to the store, Hamura-kun, and see what Yang-chan likes. After a quick cleanup, Nangong Yan and Nana Abashiri went back to the pet store. Nangong Yan felt overwhelmed looking at the vast array of toys and shook his head, saying to Nana Abashiri, I don't know much about toys. Could you help Yang pick something she'll enjoy? Sure. Nana carefully assessed Yang's size and picked out a few toys. I'll take Yang to look at the accessories first. With that, he carried the little guy to the accessories area. Nangong Yan glanced around and said to Yang, how about you pick out the accessories yourself? Just tell me what you like. I don't know what to choose. He gently scratched Nangong Yan with his little paw, asking for guidance. Nangong Yan thought for a moment. These are all things you wear. You've probably seen other cats with bells, right? Just tell me what you like. Remembering a beautiful cat he had seen wearing a bell, the little guy nodded, climbed onto Nangong Yan's shoulder, and scanned the shelves. Nangong Yan walked around, picking things up and examining them. When he came across a bell, the little guy's eyes lit up, and he was about to say something, but when the bell rang, he felt a little uncomfortable and changed his mind. In the end, the little guy didn't say anything. Nangong Yan asked curiously, you don't like it? The pretty one? Yeah, I like how it looks, but the sound makes me a little uncomfortable. Yang stated plainly. Proof of beauty. Nangong Yan chuckled, recalling, oh, you mean a bell? This little guy misunderstood something. Like that time he thought Yang meant to eat something. That's a bell, not proof of beauty. You don't need a bell to prove if you're beautiful or not. Nangong Yan explained seriously. Hearing this, the little guy seemed confused for a moment and finally said, then I don't need anything. Chapter 44. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seriously, you don't need all that stuff. It's gotta be uncomfortable, all those clothes. She said it like it was a fact, no hesitation. Nangong Yan was a little surprised. He hadn't really thought about it that deeply, he just wanted to dress the little critter up all cute, but hey, she made her own choice this time. Gotta remember to ask first in the future. He gave her a good look, then said, okay, then how about we check out the toys? Those are fun and good exercise. Yang didn't argue that time. She was all about playtime. Nangong Yan scooped her up and headed back to Nana. Huh? Didn't Yang-chan find anything she liked? Nana asked, noticing Nangong Yan's empty hands. Nangong Yan sighed. Yeah, I asked her, and she doesn't like feeling all bundled up. So, more toys it is, for playing and staying active. Nana was surprised. She hadn't expected Nangong Yan to be so respectful of the cat's preferences. She perked up and started going through the toys, explaining what each one did. Half an hour later, Nangong Yan's head was spinning. Seriously, how many kinds of cat toys are there? He finally picked out a few that seemed the most useful and bought a bunch of each. Stuff like scratching posts and boards, gotta save the furniture, right? Plus, good for her claws, teaser wands for playtime, to keep her agile, a bunch of stuffed animals, just for fun, and a whole cat climbing tree with all sorts of levels and perches. By the time he was done, Nangong Yan couldn't carry it all. He gave Nana his address and asked her to deliver it. After saying goodbye, Nangong Yan took Yang to the park. he watched the little one roll around on the fallen cherry blossoms, then walked over to a tree and sat on the trunk. He looked up at the almost blooming flowers and made a decision: next weekend, full-on cherry blossom viewing. He was already getting lost in the falling petals. He'd been thinking about it for ages, just waiting for the perfect moment. It was already getting late afternoon, and the sun peeked through the blossoms, making him feel lazy. He stretched out and squinted, soaking in the colors. Before he knew it, Nangong Yan was asleep. Ah, ha. He yawned and stretched. The little cat, who'd been napping on his stomach, slipped onto his lap. Yang opened her sleepy eyes and looked up at Nangong Yan, puzzled. That cute little face was enough to wake him right up. He was ready for some quality time with his furry friend. He grabbed his phone and checked the time, 5:50 p.m., Nangong Yan froze, grabbed Yang, and took off running, shocking the other parkgoers. He flagged down a taxi and told the driver to step on it. Huff, huff. Panting, he had to jump out of the cab a couple of blocks away because of traffic and sprint the rest of the way. Almost there. Only a minute late. He found a bench and caught his breath, then started looking around for the girl who was supposed to be as pure as snow. Found her. There she was, sitting on a bench, long blonde hair, fair skin, and a slightly clueless look on her face. A small suitcase sat next to her. The setting sun cast a warm glow around her, and with the falling blossoms, she looked perfectly at home. He walked over, and the girl spoke first. "Hey, what color do you want to be?" "Me." Nangong Yan replied without missing a beat. "White, definitely." "Why?" she asked, all innocent. "Because white is like a blank canvas, full of possibilities." Nangong Yan countered. "What about you? What color do you want to be?" "Never thought about it." "Then think about it." The girl picked a petal off her clothes. "Right now, probably white." "Oh. So, we're the same." Nangong Yan grinned. "I'm Nangong Yan. My dad didn't say who I was picking up, but I'm guessing it's you, right?" The girl blinked. "Oh. I'm Mashiro, Shina Mashiro. Can I call you Hamura?" Nangong Yan, huh? "Sure, no problem." "Hamura, the sound is very nice, I like it a lot." This naive girl, Shina Mashiro, had no filter, saying things that could melt your heart without even trying. Even though Nangong Yan was expecting it, his heart still skipped a beat. "Oh. And this is Yang, she's family too. You guys need to get along." Nangong Yan said, a little flustered, introducing the cat perched on his shoulder. "Cat." Shina Mashiro reached out, but Yang was out of reach. Nangong Yan chuckled, petting Yang, who had now moved to his other shoulder. "You haven't gotten to know each other yet. You will, in a few days. Just be nice, and she'll warm up to you." "Okay, I understand." She looked at Yang. Nangong Yan just had to sigh. The cuteness of this little cat was off the charts. Picking up Mashiro's suitcase, Nangong Yan said, "Let's go home." "Okay." When they got back to Nangong's house, Kato Megumi and the others were already unloading Mashiro's other luggage from a delivery truck. Nangong Yan stopped Mashiro from helping and asked her to relax in the living room. He hurried over to greet the three women and lend a hand. It took the four of them nearly half an hour to sort out the room prepared for Mashiro. It was next door to Sajiri's. So it was Mashiro, and Kasumigakaka Shu, Irie, and Kato Megumi on the other. After they were done, everyone gathered in the living room, except Sajiri. "Seriously, how much luggage is this?" Lily said, exhausted. "Yeah, I took a quick look, and it's mostly clothes, and some art supplies. And some brand new equipment," Kasumigakaka Shiyu agreed. It was way more than they'd expected. Even Nangong Yan was surprised. Kato Megumi spoke up. "Oh, Mr. Yan, a delivery guy dropped off a bunch of cat toys this afternoon. I signed for them." "Delivery guy? That must be Nana's doing." He nodded. "Thanks, Hui." You're welcome, Hamura-kun, Kato Megumi replied quietly. Huh? Does she look familiar to anyone else? Lily said, eyeing Mashiro. Nangong Yan hadn't introduced them yet, so Lily didn't know her name. Nangong Yan chuckled. See? You really are Miles Kashiwagi. Ugh. You snake. Nangong Yan had poked at Yinglai's most sensitive spot, and she exploded. Nangong Yan dodged her punch and stepped back. Relax, she's one of us now too. Lily froze, veins popping on her forehead. She ground out the words. Then, why, didn't you mention it beforehand? Nangong Yan said awkwardly, I didn't really have the chance to get to it. Chapter 45. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seriously? The battle raged on, with Lily chasing Nangong Yan all over the house. Grumble. A not too loud but definitely audible noise cut through the air, stopping the fight in its tracks. Lily's face flushed crimson, and she dove onto the sofa, burying her face in the cushions. Ahem. Nangong Yan, deciding not to tease her, quickly said, I'll go start dinner. He vanished in a flash, leaving Kato Megumi and Kasumigakaka Shiha exchanging confused glances, while Shina Mashiro stared blankly ahead, at the dinner table. Alright, listen up. Nangong Yan gestured for everyone's attention, including Sajiri, who was filming the whole thing. This is Mashiro Shina, a world-class painter. She'll be living with us from now on, so please make her feel welcome. Silence. Everyone was stunned. World-class. They might not grasp the full weight of that title, but the idea of living with a genius of that caliber was mind-blowing. Aya! Lily shrieked, her eyes suddenly sparkling like a little girl meeting her idol. Please give me your autograph. She produced a signed copy of something from who knows where and thrust it at Mashiro. Mashiro stared back, bewildered, then looked at Nangong Yan for guidance. Nangong Yan facepalmed. He never expected I really to turn into such a fangirl. And me, I want one too. Huh? Who was that? Nangong Yan's eyes widened. He saw another signed copy being offered from behind him and slowly turned around. Everyone except Mashiro, including the autograph-seeking I really, stared in stunned silence at the petite figure behind Nangong Yan. Finally, Nangong Yan faced the person trembling nervously under their gazes and said, Sajiri, you finally came out of your shell. Nangong Yan's heart was racing. He never thought Sajiri would emerge on her own. Was it the idol effect? No. Idols didn't have that much power. It was the culmination of everything. Even without Mashiro, he believed Sajiri would have eventually come out of her room after a couple of weeks. Mashiro was just the final straw. He put an arm around her trembling frame and ruffled her hair, then turned to the confused Mashiro. Mashiro, could you sign these two? They're both in the art world, and they practically worship you. Mashiro blinked. Okay, even though I don't really get it, if Hamura says so. Kasumigakaka Shiha exchanged a knowing glance with Nangong Yan. He blushed slightly and looked away, whistling, though he wasn't very good at it. After Mashiro signed the copies, Sajiri started to retreat back to her room, but Nangong Yan grabbed her by the collar. Sajiri turned around stiffly, gave Nangong Yan a forced smile, shuddered, and then obediently sat down at the table. You stay here. I'll go get your food. He turned to Kato Megumi. Megumi, can you keep an eye on her? Don't let her bolt. It took a lot to get her out here. She needs to get used to being around people. Sure, Hamura-kun. Go ahead. Sajiri-chan, I'll watch her. Kato Megumi nodded slightly and took Sajiri's hand, feeling how nervous she still was. Nangong Yan backed away slowly, glancing back at Sajiri. She didn't move. He was surprised. He'd been prepared for her to refuse to let him leave and had asked Kato Megumi to help bring her food, but it wasn't necessary. The welcome party continued. When I first saw Mashiro, she looked familiar. Now I know why. Everyone was getting acquainted, and Ing Lily sighed contentedly, touching the signature she'd gotten. I'm surprised you and Sajiri are starstruck. Nangong Yan was also taken aback. Mashiro's arrival had single-handedly coaxed Sajiri out of her room. I really, what's so strange? Sajiri, yeah, I really, don't you know Mashiro is a world-class painter? Sajiri, exactly, I really, it's normal for people like us, especially since we're both girls, to be fans. Sajiri, right, ow, Nangong Yan pinched Sajiri's cheek playfully. This little loli was complaining about her own brother with someone else. It was so cute. Seeing Sajiri's pout, Nangong Yan let go of her cheek. Big brother is so mean. He pinched my face. Sajiri rubbed her cheek and complained. Nangong Yan shrugged. Who told you to side with someone else instead of your brother? But hey, it looks like you and Ing Lily are getting along well. Maybe you can team up. Hee hee hee. Sajiri giggled sheepishly. He couldn't resist ruffling her hair again. Nangong Yan said, I hope you can become friends with other people too, not just Ing Lily. Okay. Sajiri straightened her messed up hair and nodded. I'll try my best. Good. I believe in you. Finally, Nangong Yan turned to Shina Mashiro. Mashiro, you came back this time to draw comics, right? Everyone else looked at Nangong Yan in surprise, as if to say, are you crazy? Mashiro isn't a comic artist. Mashiro nodded. Nangong Yan saw that the others were practically turning to stone. Bang. Why? Ing Lily slammed her hands on the table, shocked. Because, it's my dream. What? My dream is to be a cartoonist. Mashiro looked at Iriri, who saw the seriousness in her eyes. Okay. I've been wondering this whole time. This guy Nangong said he wanted to invite you, but you're a world-class painter. How could he possibly succeed? Ing Lily glared at Nangong Yan. You knew this all along, didn't you? That's why you invited Mashiro to join us. Nangong Yan smiled and nodded, then turned to Mashiro, who looked a bit confused. Mashiro, a few of us are working on a big project. It's still in the early stages, but I'd like to invite you to join us. Mashiro, do you want to join us? Mashiro was silent for a moment. I want to draw comics. Nangong Yan, okay. I can teach you about comics. Mashiro, Hamura draws comics too. Nangong Yan, the project we're working on now isn't a comic, but a game. However, I do draw comics on the side. We could leave the game's comic adaptation to you and Ing Lily. She can handle the character designs. Mashiro carefully observed the people at the table. They all looked at her expectantly. Is it really okay? Mashiro stared at Nangong Yan. Nangong Yan extended his hand. Mashiro, welcome to join the Different Dimension team. Chapter 46. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Nangong Yan was up early making breakfast, with Kato Megumi helping out. He'd gotten up earlier than usual because he needed to take Mashiro to report to the Fine Arts Department at Suimei University of Arts High School, Suigao for short, after breakfast, and Mashiro couldn't go by herself. Seeing that breakfast was almost ready, Nangong Yan glanced at Eri sprawled on the sofa. Eri, can you get Sajiri and Mashiro? Ugh, fine, she mumbled, then slowly headed upstairs. Nangong Yan smiled at Kato Megumi. Megumi, is Eri usually this, out of it? Kato Megumi looked at Nangong Yan with her wide, innocent eyes, not quite understanding what he meant. Not really. Is something wrong? Nangong Yan wasn't sure how to respond. Are we even on the same wavelength here? Don't you think there's a contrast between sleepy Eri and regular Eri? Am I off base thinking girls like that contrasting cuteness thing? He wondered aloud if he was overthinking it. Kato Megumi's usual blank expression shifted slightly, as if she were pondering. Well, I don't know about other girls, but I probably wouldn't think about it that way. Nangong Yan was speechless. Yeah. Eriri shrieked, and Nangong Yan dropped everything and bolted upstairs. Eriri and Sajiri stood outside Mashiro's room. Nangong Yan quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "I don't know. Could it be a burglar?" Eriri pointed to Mashiro's room, and Nangong Yan peered inside. "What the heck is this? Looks like a tornado hit." Nangong Yan groaned, already remembering what this meant. He stepped into the room, dodging Mashiro's clothes, including her underwear, scattered everywhere. Next to the computer desk were the monthly girl manga and the promised Neverland copies he'd given her yesterday. He went straight to the computer desk, squatted down, eyed the lumpy mess under the desk, and knocked on the surface. "Hey there, Miss Mashiro. Wakey, wakey." The mass began to wiggle. It bulged here, then there. Finally, a pale head emerged from the mountain of clothes. "Flame." Mashiro mumbled sleepily. "Get up. You have to go to school soon. Can't be late on the first day, right?" "Okay." A naked body started to emerge. Wait, naked? Oh man, I knew this was coming. Eriri was already on the scene. Luckily she called me up again. Phew. Thank you. Thank goodness. Thank you, Eriri, star. Nangong Yan stared blankly, dumbstruck. "You idiot. Getting an eyeful, huh?" Eriri rushed over, covered his eyes, and shoved him out of the room. "Get out. Get out. Sajiri, keep an eye on your brother. Don't let him peek." Then, slam, she shut the door. Sajiri glared at Nangong Yan, standing stiffly against the wall, wanting nothing to do with him. Nangong Yan was still replaying the scene in his head, barely registering Eriri's frantic yelling through the door, "Hurry up and get dressed." "Why are you naked?" "Why naked?" Mashiro asked. "I'm asking you. Shower, get clothes. Then put them on. All taken out. So that's why the room's a mess." "That's not the point. Is now the time to be discussing this? Get dressed, quick." "Dressed? Where? Where are you calling dressed? Button it up. Fatty. Put them all on. Which one wear good? Ack. Whatever. Forget. Are you kidding me?" Eriri, now sporting a splitting headache, grabbed a random bra. "That one. Just wear that. This fatty not cute." Mashiro said, looking disgusted. "Someone kill me." Eriri stormed out of the room and vanished downstairs. A disheveled Mashiro appeared in the doorway, tilting her head. "What's wrong with Eriri?" she asked Nangong Yan, bewildered. "Maybe." Nangong Yan rubbed his nose. "I'm going to call for backup." Sure enough, a moment later, Eriri dragged Kato Megumi upstairs. "Megumi, I'm leaving Mashiro to you." Then she grabbed Nangong Yan. "You, come downstairs with me. Look at the mess you've made of yourself." Glancing at Nangong Yan, who still seemed dazed, Eriri asked with a playful glint in her eyes, "Well? See something you liked?" "It was an unfortunate accident." Nangong Yan was mortified. "This is so embarrassing. I just froze. Gotta wash my face." "Wake up." Eriri curled her lip, unconvinced. "Really? How could someone not be happy?" Surprised. "I would be like that even if I saw Eriri." Nangong Yan blurted out, "Bang. Bang. Bang." Eriri slapped Nangong Yan on the back repeatedly. "Idiot, idiot. Who wants to show you?" Nangong Yan, who was washing his face, was pushed headfirst into the sink, so he didn't see Eriri's face now looking like it could be spread out with eggs. "By the way, what happened?" "Flame Lord." Kasumigakaka Shiyu materialized out of nowhere. "Ah, it was a series of mishaps, really." Wiping his face dry, Nangong Yan continued, "It's mainly Mashiro's lack of common sense. We'll just have to keep an eye on her. Kasumagakaka Shiyu rolled her eyes, finding his explanation a bit flimsy. Asterisk, could there be more to it? Better keep an eye on this myself. A few minutes later, Kato Megumi came downstairs with Mashiro and Sajiri. Nangong Yan looked at Mashiro, already looking more radiant than when they first met, and secretly gave Kato Megumi a thumbs up. At the dinner table, Kasumagakaka Shiyu asked casually, Mashiro's not at our school, is she? No, Mashiro wants to go to the art department, which is a super selective school. Eruri chimed in, surprised. Wow, the art department under Suigao? They only take like 20 students in the whole grade, right? You know about it? Nangong Yan didn't even know that, but Eruri seemed well informed. It's a super elite program, just 20-ish people per grade. I looked into it. I wanted to apply to Suigao before, but I heard those students are kind of different. So I passed. Eruri sighed wistfully. Nangong Yan nodded. Geniuses all have their quirks, right? Like you, with your lack of common sense. Hearing that example, Eruri bristled. She almost snapped back just now. Oh. Actually, Sawamura-san is okay if you have a high level of sex. Don't you also have quirks that are different from ordinary people? Teacher Miles Kashiwagi. The scheming senior seized the opportunity to fire shots at Eruri again. Chapter 47. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kasumagakaka Shiyu. Eruri was so ticked off, she was grinding her teeth. Why are you always messing with me? Oops, my bad. Guess it's a habit. If someone didn't know better, they'd think these two were mortal enemies, the way they got worked up over everything. Eruri. Stifling her rage, Eruri ignored her. Since she couldn't smack her, she just angrily shoveled down her breakfast, looking like she wanted to devour someone whole. Shiyu, seeing Eruri shut up, gave a bored shrug and started eating too. Megumi Kato shook her head, a little exasperated. It's always like this. Nangong Yan sighed, guess it's just their destiny as rivals. And yeah, they'd have plenty more chances to bicker. When Mashiro and he got to Suko, a teacher came up to Mashiro, little Mashiro, long time no see. How's it going? Chihiro, doing okay. Mashiro seemed to be meeting an old friend. Hey there, I'm Chihiro Sengoku, Mashiro's cousin. She nudged Nangong Yan with her elbow. So, how's life with Mashiro treating you? Why does this teacher sound kinda sleazy? Nangong Yan was internally facepalming. We're not living together, Ms. Sengoku. I'm Nangong Yan. Nangong Yan wasn't about to play along. Humph. Boring. Seeing Nangong Yan's flat reaction, Chihiro gave up on teasing him. Just don't be bullying Mashiro, got it? This time, Nangong Yan was serious. Don't worry. I'd never bully her. Chihiro studied him for a moment, then clapped him on the shoulder, laughing. Attaboy. First time meeting you, but you seem alright. Nangong Yan was speechless. How could Chihiro act so carefree, like one of the guys? Checking the time, Nangong Yan said to Chihiro, Ms. Sengoku, I'm leaving Mashiro with you. I'll pick her up after school. Chihiro waved him off. Go on, see ya. Mashiro, I'm heading out. I'll get you after school. Okay. Watching Nangong Yan leave, Mashiro and Chihiro walked into the school. As Nangong Yan walked towards Toyosaki, he still thought Mashiro's cousin was a real dude. No wonder Chihiro was so quick to pawn Mashiro off on someone else in the old memories. This woman seemed like she was all about dodging responsibility. Lost in thought, Nangong Yan rounded a corner, boom, he ran headfirst into someone. His head was instantly swimming. Nangong Yan's physique was way better than his opponent's. He only stumbled back half a step, while she went down like a rock. Shaking his head to clear the stars, he looked at the motionless girl on the ground, stunned. I'm a little dizzy, and you're out cold. What the heck? Is this some kind of scam? Are all students this bold these days, star? Hey. You okay? Nangong Yan poked the girl's knee with his finger, but she just lay there. Nangong Yan. Taking a closer look, the high school uniform, the brown ponytail. Wasn't this Aoyama Nanami? Recognizing her, Nangong Yan knew she wasn't faking it. He knew how many part-time jobs this girl was juggling to chase her voice acting dreams. And she was still struggling to eat. Who knew how bad her health was right now? Quickly checking the time, Nangong Yan sighed. Guess I'm skipping the first couple classes. He scooped her up, slung her over his back, grabbed their backpacks, and headed toward Suko, a guy from another school carrying a girl from this school. It was definitely turning heads. Back at the Suko gate, Nangong Yan saw Chihiro was still there, but Mashiro was gone. Whoa. Nangong, aren't you satisfied with Mashiro? Now you're hitting on other girls. Chihiro rushed over, all excited. Okay, she was pretending to be excited. She just wanted to mess with Nangong Yan. Nangong Yan rolled his eyes. How did you even jump to that conclusion? Here. Chihiro pointed to the unconscious girl on his back, grinning. We just bumped into each other, and she fainted, so I'm carrying her over. Nangong Yan said, annoyed. Alright. Ms. Sengoku, can you take me to the nurse's office? Can't just leave her here. He cut off Chihiro's teasing. Okay, follow me. Chihiro said, all business. Isn't that Aoyama? Chihiro finally recognized the girl. Nangong Yan just rolled his eyes again. Then hurry up. Chihiro picked up the pace, heading straight for the nurse's office. When they got there, Chihiro said, the nurse is off today, so just let her sleep it off. Nangong Yan gently laid Nanami down and covered her with a blanket. Chihiro's voice came from behind, speaking of, you said she fainted after hitting her. How hard did you hit her, huh? Knocked her clean out. Nangong Yan was speechless. I guess she's just really weak. She didn't weigh anything when I was carrying her. Probably just hungry. Seeing Chihiro staring at him, Nangong Yan felt like she was planning something. Ms. Sengoku, go do your thing. I can handle it here. Chihiro looked at him with a knowing smile. That hey spoke volumes. Nangong Yan pretended not to understand. Chihiro shook her head, still smiling. Alright, I'm leaving it to you. Chihiro walked out of the room, then suddenly poked her head back in. She had a really suggestive look on her face. Since this is the weak Aoyama you're talking about, don't go too hard on her. Bang. A pillow flew over and slammed into the closed door. Ahahaha. An obnoxious laugh echoed. Nangong Yan's veins were bulging. He wanted to go out there and strangle her. This woman. She's good with students, but is this really how a teacher should act? Grumbling, he went over to pick up the pillow he'd thrown. Patting the dust off, he said, Ms. Sengoku's gone. You can wake up now. Putting the pillow back, Nangong Yan returned to Nanami's bedside. Why don't you open your eyes? Two hands shot out from under the blanket, grabbing the edge and pulling it over her head, hiding completely. A muffled voice came from beneath the covers. When did you realize? Probably when we got to the school gate. Nangong Yan said matter-of-factly. Chapter 48. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, so your legs started moving. You must have heard Ms. Qinshuan's voice and realized you were waking up in school with everyone staring at you, huh? Nangong Yan guessed. The blanket in front of her twitched a few times. And now you can't pretend you didn't hear what Ms. Qinshuan said before she left, right? Those words must have felt like a devil whispering in her ear because Qingshan Nanami shook even more. Plus, your face was totally red with embarrassment. I know I saw it. Now that you know I'm mortified, can't you just stop? Qingshan Nanami tossed the blanket aside, her face flushed. You couldn't tell if it was from embarrassment or anger, and her Kansai accent was really coming out. She was definitely embarrassed, something about that sentence felt off, though. Was it just him? Nangong Yan just smiled slightly. Can't get out from under that blanket? Are you doing this on purpose? Qingshan Nanami asked, sounding stiff. Nangong Yan smoothly changed the subject. Anyway, do you remember how you passed out? Qingshan Nanami, who was completely thrown off balance, replied without thinking, I guess I was rushing because I was afraid of being late, and then I bumped into something. She looked at Nangong Yan. He nodded. Yeah, you ran into me, and then you fainted. Seeing how embarrassed Qingshan Nanami looked, Nangong Yan quickly added, but it wasn't all your fault. I was distracted, too. I'm Nangong Yan. Can I call you Nanami? I heard Ms. Qinshuan call you that. Asterisk calling her by her first name right off the bat, asterisk Nanami blushed, wanting to say something, but she didn't. She just nodded, agreeing that Nangong Yan could call her that. Hey, are you hungry? He turned and pulled a lunch box out of his bag, offering it to Nanami. No, that's your lunch. I can't. She refused, but her stomach wasn't on board. Grumbled. They both flinched. Nangong Yan casually put the lunch in her hand, acting like nothing happened, and said to Nanami, who looked like she was about to die of embarrassment, you skipped breakfast. It's not good for a girl to go hungry like that. Eat up. I brought extra. As he said this, Nangong Yan patted his bag. Liar. No one brings 2 lunches. Nanami said, not believing him. I do. Prove it. She reached for his bag. Nangong Yan stepped back, smiling. Can't show you. It's a big secret. Before she could argue, Nangong Yan said firmly, all right. Just eat. Looking at his serious face, Nanami wasn't embarrassed anymore. Instead, she was a little touched. She hadn't expected someone she just met to do so much for her. She stopped refusing Nangong Yan's kindness and started eating the lunch, taking small bites like a squirrel. She ate quickly, secretly resolving to pay him back later. Sure, Nangong Yan might offer someone a bento, but he wouldn't force them to take it if they didn't want it. But Nanami was different, because this girl was just so endearing. She was working her butt off to make her dreams come true. Regular students just had school and club activities, but Nanami, besides going to school, was either at a voice acting school or working a part-time job, working before school, after school, and on weekends. She worked constantly, using every spare moment. Even then, after paying for voice acting school, she often didn't have enough money for food and would go hungry, and Nanami's personality, how to put it? Nangong Yan thought she was a lot like Yang. She was principled, serious, and very independent. She never asked for help. Even if you helped her, she'd definitely return the favor. She was considerate, looked out for others, and had a good heart. And she had a little bit of pride. Just normal and cute, except for being so shy. As Nangong Yan thought about it, she seemed more and more like Yang. So many good qualities. What a rare and good girl. Who could get to know her and not feel sorry for her? Watching Nanami eat silently, Nangong Yan made a decision. I want to adopt her, no. I want to invite her. Nangong Yan nearly choked. How could adopt slip out like that? She dreams of being a voice actor, and her voice is really good. Nanami could play Mitsuba. Nangong Yan suddenly felt like this was a great idea. Plus, Nanami already has an accent, she'd just need a little practice, but even if he succeeded in inviting her, could it help her right away? After all, their game would take about 2 weeks to finish. What would they do in the meantime? He rubbed his chin, thinking, then looked at the girl who had finished her lunch. Are you full? He asked. Blurg. Nanami quickly covered her mouth, blushing. In a voice barely louder than a whisper, she said, I'm full. Actually, I'm kind of stuffed. Great. Nangong Yan ventured, hey, Nanami, you have a really nice voice. Huh. Nanami asked, surprised. Really? Yeah. With a little work, I think you could definitely be a voice actor. Without feeling the heat on her face, Nanami said, a little embarrassed, actually. I'm studying at a voice acting school. Finally, Nangong Yan thought. Here's my chance, so, why are you running yourself ragged? Nanami looked at Nangong Yan, confused. Are you skipping meals because you can't afford tuition? You're hungry and exhausted, and your body is telling you, so you fainted when I bumped into you, right? How do you know all that? Nanami looked at him in shock. Could he be a stalker? Seeing Nanami's shocked expression, Nangong Yan thought it was pretty cute. Good thing he didn't know that Nanami was imagining him as a stalker. I guessed. Nangong Yan was ready to lay it on thick. But, don't you think that's messed up? Even if you make your dream come true and become a voice actor, think about it. Will your body even hold up by then? She was silent. She'd never thought that far ahead before. She was just rushing forward, giving up all her free time to do it, but was that really the right thing to do? Nanami felt confused and didn't know what to do. What was the best thing? Did she have to give up? No, a voice in her head argued. She can't give up. Absolutely not. You've worked too hard to give up now. Looking at Nangong Yan with determination in her eyes, she was about to speak, but he spoke first. Want to join us? Does this guy even hear himself? He thought. He sounds like a predator trying to lure an innocent girl into his van. How is anyone supposed to understand when he just throws out a line like that? Sure enough, Nanami just stared at him blankly, her head full of question marks. Nangong Yan realized his mistake and quickly explained, afraid that the girl was getting the wrong idea. I mean, do you want to do voice acting for my club's projects? Nanami was even more confused. What is happening? Why can't I understand? Nangong Yan just blurted it all out. My club is making a game, and it'll be done in less than a month, so I'm asking you to help us out by doing the voice acting. Is that something you'd be interested in? Chapter 49. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingshan. Nanami stared at him, surprised. Forget you even asking me, you made a game. Aren't we, like, the same age? Nangong Yan nodded. Xiao Qihai was even more blown away. Whoa. So you're a big shot? Nah, not really. My team's amazing. They're all basically geniuses who work their butts off. That's why I wanted you on board. Come on, lay off the compliments. I'm no genius. Nanami shook her head. If they're all geniuses, where does that leave me? Nangong Yan cut her off. Maybe genius is pushing it, but your work ethic is insane. I've never seen anyone grind as hard as you do. You're gonna burn yourself out. Nanami felt a little awkward, but couldn't argue, so she just stayed quiet. Nangong Yan snapped his fingers, remembering something. He dug into his bag and pulled out a plan. Seriously, how long has this thing been in there? He held it out to Nanami. Here, Nanami, check out that big secret I mentioned. He was finally paying up on his promise of filling her stomach with excitement, not just food. Nanami blushed. She didn't actually expect a secret. She grabbed the plan and held it up to cover her face. Neither of them spoke. Nanami was engrossed in the plan, and Nangong Yan patiently waited for her to finish. Finally, Nanami lowered the plan, her face stunned. Nangong Yan didn't press her, letting her process. Does something this awesome really need someone like me messing with it? Nanami sounded unsure. At first, she was thinking of just doing him a favor, but this was different. She was scared of screwing things up. What if she ruined a great project? That would be a horrible way to repay his kindness. Nangong Yan grinned confidently. Who do you think I am? I'm the director. Look, I'm telling you, you can do this. His confidence rubbed off on her. Nanami stopped hesitating and said, all right, then. Please, tell me what to do, Nangong. With another recruit secured, the club was getting serious. Nangong Yan was stoked. The pleasure's all mine. Just call me Hamura. I should call you Nanami, right? Nanami felt a little shy, scratching her cheek. Okay, Hamura-kun, wait a sec, Hamura-kun, how did you know Nanami was my given name and not my surname? Nanami asked suspiciously. Chinshuan-sensei only called me Nanami, never my full name. How did you know, could he be a stalker? She subtly edged away from Nangong Yan froze. Crap, I know it from my past life, but I can't exactly say that. She never acted like I introduced myself to her, but I called her Nanami out of the blue. Now she's totally suspicious, think, Hamura, think. I'm not a creep. She's got the wrong idea, . When I carried you here, maybe one of your classmates saw us. They pointed and said, hey, isn't that Aoyama? So I figured I just heard it wrong. Maybe you're not Nanami Aoyama, but Aoyama Nanami. Nangong Yan's brain spat out. He thought he'd heard a student say something along those lines. What the heck is Aoyama Nanami? That sounds like a guy's name. Nanami groaned. Exactly. Aoyama is a guy's name, which means I got it right. Nanami-chan. Safe, Nangong Yan breathed a sigh of relief, wait, so Mr. Yen already knew my name, and he deliberately called me Chihai. What was he thinking? Nanami remembered Nangong Yan using her last name at first. She suddenly blushed and looked away. Huh. Why is she blushing again? Is she hungry, or does she need to pee? Nangong Yan was baffled. Dude, you're overthinking it. It's a consequence of the lame excuse you just made, . Nangong Yan thought she might need to use the restroom, and since he was a guy, she was too embarrassed to say anything. The best thing to do was to leave. He could talk to her about the project after school. But as he turned to go, Nanami suddenly asked, Hamura-kun, which role did you want me to play? Yatsuba's classmate or Mitsuha? Nangong Yan blinked. What? She doesn't need to pee, he realized she was still insecure, and hadn't even considered playing the lead. He responded directly. Huh? What are you talking about? Mitsuha. You're matching with Mitsuha, Chinshan Nanami. Huh? Nanami's surprised shout echoed. Nangong Yan winced, covering his ears. He looked at Nanami, who still had her mouth hanging open. What's with the shock? Nanami snapped back to reality. Of course I'm shocked. The heroine? The heroine? Are you sure about this? Nangong Yan urged, come on, Nanami. You need to have more faith in yourself. Like I said, I'm the director. If I say you can do it, you can do it. Don't sweat it, you got this. Nanami was still nervous. But what about my Kansai accent? What if I can't lose it? Nangong Yan's eyes lit up. I want your Kansai accent. Huh? Stunned, Nanami double-checked. You really want the Kansai accent? Yours, yeah. I don't just want any Kansai accent. He patted the plan lying on the bed. Nanami, did you actually read the plan? Mitsuha's a country girl, right? Wouldn't a dialect make it even better? This time Nanami was relieved she'd heard right. She patted her chest, suddenly excited. Her big eyes fluttered, almost making Nangong Yan lose his composure. He glanced away, trying to act casual, and asked the key question. Nanami, how many jobs are you working right now? Nanami hesitated. She raised her head and told him, I've got 2 right now, and I just picked up a 3rd one recently. All part-time, different shifts. Nangong Yan was floored. He knew Nanami was working, but he didn't realize she was juggling that many jobs as a high school student. She really had no free time, I knew it. I can't just ignore this. It's heartbreaking, how can I help this girl without hurting her pride? After a beat, he looked her in the eye and said, I've got a job for you. Want to hear about it? Nanami looked at him strangely. What kind of job? Nangong Yan, taking care of someone. Nanami blushed. But I barely have any time. Nangong Yan, I'll pay you 10% more than your highest paying job. What about time? Nangong Yan, all your time, except when you're at school. Nanami swallowed hard. She was starting to understand what Nangong Yan was hinting at. Yen Kuan, you're kidding, right? Nangong Yan, I'm dead serious. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. Nangong Yan, room and board included. Nanami. The words she was about to say died in her throat. Chapter 50. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seriously? Lady Luck is finally smiling on me. Nanami was a little giddy. I can't believe there's actually a gig like this. Sigh, Nangong Yan sighed, guess I better lay it all out for you. Nanami, you've seen my plan, right? How many people are even in the interdimensional club right now? He didn't wait for Nanami to answer. 6. Make it 7 with you. I'm not, Nanami mumbled under her breath, but Nangong Yan caught it anyway. You're already in. Don't even think about backing out, thump, wait, what? Did he just confess to me? Out of nowhere. Nanami's face flushed. You're officially the exclusive voice actor for the interdimensional club. Everything we do from now on, you're gonna be a part of. Nangong Yan crushed her fantasy, maybe to his future regret. Oh. Right, that. Nanami's eyes went dead. She just said it, expressionless. Nangong Yan gave her a weird look. So, like I said, I handle most of the members along with one other person. 2 people taking care of 6 is a stretch, 3 can manage it. Hold up. Nanami interrupted. Didn't you say there were 6 people? 2 plus 3 is only 5. Oh, you think I go to Shuigao for kicks? Nangong Yan explained why he was there. I was dropping off the 6th member, who joined yesterday. We ran into you on my way back. Nanami wanted to crawl into a hole and die. She hid her face, silently cursing herself for being so chatty and making Nangong Yan bring up that embarrassing moment again. Anyway, 2 people handling 5 is doable, but the problem is the 6th member. Her name is Shina Mashiro. She's a world-class painter, and your teacher Chihiro's cousin. Nanami's eyes bugged out. World-class. Nangong Yan, yep, world-class. And because she's a world-class painter, she spends pretty much all her time painting, just like you and voice acting. Okay, but what's the problem? Nanami asked, confused. Isn't that normal? Nangong Yan clapped his hands together, signaling Nanami to focus. Almost all the time. All the time except for sleeping, including class time. It finally clicked for Nanami, and she was floored. She couldn't even imagine skipping class like that. Nangong Yan, get it now? Mashiro has 0 common sense. She can barely dress herself, can take a bath but can't wash her face or hair. Doesn't know what shopping or paying is. All she knows is how to paint. So. What do you say? Wanna take the job, Nanami? Nangong Yan gave her a look, trying not to be too pushy. Nanami thought it over. So, Yen Kuan, this talented painter, you want me to take care of her? Yep. What, you think I can handle it? I'd lose my mind. He grinned. No. She blurted out without thinking. Nanami's face went red. How could I let a guy take care of a girl who's basically clueless? That's like throwing a lamb to the wolves. Nangong Yan's face fell. What the heck? A lamb to the wolves? Did she really think that little of him? He said, annoyed, okay, fine, I'm a wolf. If this wolf's not good enough, then I give up. He gestured towards her. You win. Nanami was speechless. After a long pause, she finally said. Okay, I'll do it. But I have one condition. What's the condition? Nangong Yan asked warily. Don't give me a raise. Just pay me my usual part-time wage. Nanami was thoughtful. Nangong Yan was going out of his way to help her, and she was uncomfortable being taken care of so much. If he insisted, she might just walk away. Okay, deal. You're the first employee I've ever met who wanted a pay cut. Nangong Yan said with a laugh. But I have a condition too. Nanami, who had just relaxed, tensed up again. Stop it, already, Nanami thought. I don't want you treating me like this. How can I ever repay you if you keep doing this, Luckily, Nangong Yan had no idea what she was thinking. Under Nanami's anxious gaze, Nangong Yan said, Then, let me cover your room and board. Wait, what? Nanami blinked, inwardly exclaiming, just room and board. That's still too much, right? Nangong Yan cut her off. No arguing. I want you to take good care of Mashiro. It's no problem for you to live in the same place. And food's the same. What's the difference between 6 people and 7? Actually, this was exactly what Nangong Yan wanted. How could he let Nanami go hungry? Aoyama Nanami. He'd already said everything. What could she do? She had to. Okay, I'll move in. But not today. I need to quit my other part-time jobs before I can accept yours. Nanami had officially caved. This was the first time someone had gone this far for her. Why did she trust him so easily? Was he a scammer? Nanami was confused, but she still felt it was okay to trust him. She really believed Nangong Yan wanted the best for her. The other stuff was just details. She'd have plenty of time to figure it all out later. Yes. Nangong Yan silently pumped his fist. I'll pick you and Mashiro up after school tomorrow. Talk to Chihiro today and try to get to know Mashiro. I think you two will get along great. Nangong Yan planned. He was getting ready to leave. It would be lunchtime soon. Okay, thank you for everything today, Yen-kun. And for the lunch. Nanami was still a little embarrassed about polishing off the entire bento. No problem. Aren't we friends? Nangong Yan smiled and shook his head. It's just lunch. Don't sweat it. You didn't actually have a second lunch in your bag, did you? Nanami still felt a twinge of guilt. This girl was too sharp. Ha! What are you talking about? Anyway, gotta run. It'll be lunchtime by the time I get back. Nangong Yan took off before Nanami could say another word. By whoosh, he was a blur of motion. Nanami was left standing there, bewildered. Pfft. Nanami smiled, whispering to herself, seriously, thanks so much, Yen-kun. She packed up the lunch box, picked up her phone, and blinked. Huh. When did he leave his number? Touched, Nanami walked out of the nurse's office, thinking to herself, maybe I should get in touch with that world-class painter. Shina Mashiro.